Hello, my lovelies. Rotting Jug Fox here. I'm gonna start with a new what if, cause this one was the one that me and someone else decided on making. And this is what if Deku was a pharaoh or a king of Egypt, basically. Don't mind us. And for the background of this, it will be sad, but I really hope that you guys will like it. So basically, Deku is born in this ancient Egypt type of style of where he lives, and if you all want to know where the pictures are located, well, I forgot the people who made it, but here's the little description on how to find it. I'll scroll down and you guys could see what the actual where it is located. So this is how Deku looks like when he was back then in ancient Egypt. This is before quirks manifest. So yeah, Deku is basically a pharaoh who became a king after his parents were assassinated when he was in the rightful age. After his parents died when he was 17 years old, he became king at the age of 19, got him married at the age of 21, and had kids. And his fifth child ended up having his wife killed. And you guys might think, oh, who are these children? Are they gonna be important in the future? And the thing is, they are, but this is way back then than in the era where Deku is originally from. And the names of these children are basically 4 of the League of Villain members and the newest member on My Hero Academia, Eri. And you're wondering, who are the 4 League of Villain members that you're gonna speak up? Are they gonna be Toga, Dabi, Shigaraki, Kurogiri, or the other League of Villains members, or what? And if you actually guessed Toga, Dabi, Shigaraki, and Kurogiri, you are correct. Kurogiri's gonna be the oldest, so he will be 9 years old when his mother passed away after giving birth to his very little sister, aka Deku's 5th child, Eri. So Eri's gonna be the 5th child of the family, while the youngest before Eri was born is gonna be Toga. So after Kurogiri was Dabi, and after Dabi was Shigaraki. And for the background check on the kingdom, there were really fun, outgoing people, all over the place. If you needed something, the king will help you out. And that was back then when Deku's parents were still alive, as well as Deku being king. So that all in one sentence, good. Okay, so, and this will this will mainly talk about what happened back then. And for a description on how Deku looks like, he basically looks like Omega Sans from a series that I remember, but I can't find the actual picture. And for the artists who actually made the concept art of Omega Sans, your art is amazing, and any of you guys who want to start art, I will support you all the way. So here's a picture how Deku will look like back then and how he is in the canon universe in this story. So Deku will look like this, but without any of the bones, just looking like a human, basically the first picture that I showed you. So he will look like this, like a human, but with wings and a giant freaking skull and a tail. Oh yeah, and for when people are fighting and in a war, this kingdom mainly makes the pharaoh wear the bottom jaw of their enemy. So basically they have to literally remove the bottom jaw. And so Deku does have these wings when he's in the future, as well as in ancient Egypt times. And the way I'm gonna describe how the story is basically after his fifth child was born, well, during his time being a king, and he was literally, how someone say, he was 29 after Arya was born. His wife was 20 when Arya was born. So he basically started having children at the rightful age of 22, maybe 22 or 21, out of those two ages. 22 to 21, well, 21 to 22. Basically, that's when Deku started to have kids. And this is like when Deku's like an adult, so Deku mainly had kids to like preserve the kingdom. And yes, Deku is a pharaoh for this what if. Sorry if I'm rambling and saying stuff that I already talked about. Just a little nervous. So I'm gonna skip over like a few weeks or years. A few years have gone past, and Deku's kingdom has prospered in like literally flourish over the years. Like this is a big kingdom, and there's a lot of people in it, and there are a lot of stuff for like farms, like normal growing, like plants and whatever. And Deku's kingdom has literally grew more over the years until one day another kingdom waged war on Deku's kingdom. And this was like before the new world has like prospered, or basically before Christopher Columbus like came to America. Yeah. Basically, it took back in that time of era. So Deku is like during while the kingdom was under attack. It turns out, the person he trusted the most, which is his advisor, turned out to work for the general to like take Egypt, to take this kingdom, which is very massive, by the way. It's a freaking massive kingdom. So the people are like scared. Deku basically tells everyone to evacuate to the back entrance of the kingdom. And this is like before the advisor figured out like there's a back entrance and all. So the advisor thinks, oh, they're going to the front to like leave, but too bad, so sad, he's gonna kill all of his people by accident from my people. But no, he did not hear like Deku say, my people, please calm down. I'm trying to do like a very old accent, which is terrible. I'm so sorry. We are being under attack, and the kingdom and the guards will defend you as long as we can, but we need all of you to evacuate the kingdom at once for all of your safety. So a lot of people like grabbing as much stuff as they need, mainly what they need, forgetting what they want. Basically like all the farm stuff, like all the food, the cows, the pigs, the sheep. Probably not sheep. Sheep will not live in Egypt. Maybe, I don't know. Like their families, like stuff they need, like clothes. And yes, Deku is like in like one of those little outfits that ancient Egypt like wore way back then. And just to say, Deku is like a really buff dude back then. Like I would say like All Might's size of buff when Deku was king all the way back then. But in the future, he's gonna be more like Bakugo. Like I'm just doing like a scale of how buff a character could get. Basically from Mineta all the way up to All Might. Basically Bakugo and Deku are close to the bottom. So basically, Deku is as buff as All Might, like President All Might, President All Might. And he does go out and fight as much as he can as the king. But he forgets that his family is also need to go. So he ends up trying to defend the kingdom as much as he can by using one of the wing's abilities. And back then, he calls like superpowers like quirks. So that's where the word quirk originated from ancient Egypt. But people back then mainly represent the pharaoh as like a descendant from a god, so they don't like they written down like pharaoh said this and this and said superpowers are quirks, but they mainly represent the pharaoh as a god as the people's perspective. As let's say Deku back actually no not let's say I'm saying that too much. Deku does fight for his kingdom as well as for his family. And the thing is, he does grieve over his parents and wife's death, but he has to move on, remembering that his kids are still in the the castle in the kingdom. So he flies as quickly as he can to save his family as he sees his. Darn it, I just said it and I forgot it. Gosh darn it. The person I said who was gonna betray him. Advisor. Advisor tries to kill his children. As he stops him, ends up being stabbed in the back as he pulls out the knife and stabs the guy in the head, telling his children to run and make sure they go into the back of the kingdom. As the guy stands up and tries to like wrestle with Deku, like literally wrestling, as Deku does end up winning in the end, but at the end of it he does get like scratches all over his body, mainly where this arm is like if you see like this arm in the picture, it has like tattoos and everywhere. That's how many like imagine all that but with scars like all over his body and mainly on his face. So basically after that, Deku is very wounded and couldn't fight as much as he can, but does it anyway because he wants to save his children and the people he cares about, which is basically the entire fucking kingdom. Yeah, I think the first few episodes we'll talk about the war and then we're gonna get into the anime.